Hello and welcome to Taurean Tarot. Today we will continue talking about our root chakra and how it is the foundation of our chakra pillar as we continue working through The Tarot Healer by Lisa Robertson. Now some of this may be repetitive, but it is really important as we focus on the health of our chakra pillar as we heal it and rebuild. First, we are going to do a quick grounding exercise and then we're going to get to work. So if you're ready for that and you're enjoying this series, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and get yourself comfortable. Let's just take a few seconds to make sure we are grounded and in the right mindset to work on the root chakra. Close your eyes, bring your focus to the base of your spine, and feel it connect with the earth. Take slow, deep breaths and pay attention to your breathing. Pay attention to what it feels like as you inhale. Feel the weight of the day melt as you exhale. Bring yourself into this moment. Show yourself gratitude for taking this time to be here and to work on yourself. It's so easy to take care of everyone else, but you have to make a point to take care of yourself. When you are ready, bring your focus back to your surroundings and slowly open your eyes. Thank you for taking these few moments with me. Now that we're grounded, it's time to see what Lisa has to say about the foundation of our pillar. I'm going to take a few moments here and just read a page out of her book because the things that she has to say I find very helpful and set us up for why it's so important to do this work. So if you're following along and you have the book, I'm going to be reading page 15. The root chakra is the foundation of your chakra system. Think of it this way. It holds up the walls that support the roof to the temple of your body. Nobody wants to build a temple on a rocky, cracked, or shoddy foundation, which is why it always shocks me that so few people pay attention to their energetic foundation. They seem perfectly happy to have it filled with holes, torn at the seams, and crumbling to pieces. And then they wonder why their body doesn't seem to do what they want it to do. Bad foundations create bad buildings, and ones that tend to buckle, collapse, and ultimately fall apart. I don't know about you, but I would never build a house to live on in such a disaster of a foundation. Nor would I expect something built on fault conditions to hold it together for very long. Imagine having the walls crashing down on you or having the roof cave in on you while you were sleeping. Now these are nightmare scenarios, yet so many people believe that it is okay to build their body and life this way. Why do we think allowing this to happen to our root chakra is acceptable? It is mainly because people believe they can't see it. However, take a look around your life and your health, and you will have plenty of evidence of how strong your foundation is. Your life is either moving along nicely and you feel confident about your growth and the direction you are headed, or you feel blocked, unsure, and shaken at best. Your foundation is evident in every decision you make, every step you take or don't take, and every fear or doubt that whirls around your head. Spend 2 minutes listening to someone and you will be able to see how strong their foundation is. So be mindful of the words you are using to describe your life, your choices, your circumstances, and your abilities, as they are either building on your foundation or shattering it. Your body is a mirror of all the decisions you have made at a foundational level, and it is easier than you think to get a picture of what is going on with you at that level. What are your thoughts on what we just heard? Let me know in the comments below. Feel free to jot some of those thoughts down in your journal. I personally feel that Lisa used some vivid imagery here to grab our attention, and it was really eye-opening for me, especially when I consider what my chakra assessment spread looked like. It is clear to me that I have to rebuild my foundation and make sure that it's in much better shape. Take a look back at your chakra assessment with Lisa's words in your mind. How do you feel about your foundation? Is it sturdy, or would a gust of wind topple your house down? Now that we know just how important our foundation is, we are going to use our tarot cards to find out how we can help it. Make sure you have your cards and journal handy for this exercise. And before we begin, take out that root significator card that we chose in the last video. This is going to be the 4th card in this 4-card spread. Now, for this spread, there's going to be 3 questions that we are going to ask the tarot. Card number 1 is, where does my foundation need assistance? Card number 2, how can I make my foundation stronger? And card number 3, what do I need to do to make sure my foundation is flexible enough not to crack? And this again is where personal preference comes into play, is how you pull your cards. I'm going to take some time with each of these 3 questions and pull cards and see what we get. Once you have your cards, spend some time with them in your journal. Consider what elements showed up here, as the foundation elements are important. Water can mean you need more flexibility and give in your foundation. The best foundations are the ones with a bit of flow to them. Air could mean you need to cleanse more often, literally blowing away blocks and cobwebs. Or it may be showing you where cracks are forming. Fire could mean you need more action and movement in your foundation. And earth means you need to compact the base and strengthen the foundation. Jot down some keywords for each of the cards you pulled and keep them for the next step in the process. Once you spend time with them, pull your root chakra significator card out and put it beside your line. So for the first question, where does my foundation need assistance? I pulled the Chariot. The first thing that stands out to me is not only is it a major arcana card, so there's definitely something very important that it wants to tell me, but the background is very blue, which I automatically associate with the throat chakra, especially because of the work that we're doing with our chakras. And then I looked a little closer and I see the symbol for the throat chakra here. I think part of having a strong foundation is knowing who you are and being able to speak your truth. I'm in a lot of different situations, especially like with work right now, where I'm holding a lot of that back, which I think is causing some of that low, shaky energy in my root chakra, which I think is part of the reason why I pulled this card, and it is associated with the throat chakra. And if we dig a little bit deeper and we look at the keywords associated with it, some of them that stick out to me is overcoming obstacles, ambition, determination, self-discipline, hard work, and focus. Now, if we just take those 2 last words, self-discipline, hard work, and focus, just focus in on those, it is very much related with the significator card that I chose for my root chakra, for that energy that I want to bring forward into it. So I find that very interesting. There's something telling me too that a lot of this has to do with my confidence. I'm just looking at, on the side here, it says, no obstacles will stop me now. To me, that just screams having confidence in myself, which is something I've never really had. And I think it's especially important now with just starting out on this YouTube channel, giving myself positive energy going into it, having the confidence to continue moving forward. So for the next question, how can I make my foundation stronger? I pulled the 2 of Swords. Now, as you can see by the background, this is a very airy card. It relates to the 3rd eye. It tells me I need to rely on my intuition more and follow my instincts. Some of the keywords that stick out to me here: crossroads, difficult decisions, stressful decisions, facing your fears. Again, come back to working on this YouTube channel, devoting my time to it, and also my work life. I'm going through a lot of transitions at work right now, most of which I'm not happy with. I'm definitely not vibing with. Trying to stick it out until the transition is done to see if I'm just being too pessimistic about it. But once that transition is done, I may need to make the decision whether I move to a different department or if I just leave the place altogether and have that self-confidence to get into something different. Another thing that really sticks out to me is both of these relate back to the moon. It means it's something that's buried in my subconscious or my shadow side that I need to dig into and really start working on in order to build a more solid foundation for myself. And for the last question, what do I need to do to make sure my foundation is flexible enough not to crack? I pulled the 9 of Cups, and this goes back to the sacral chakra. Cups is the symbol for water. So going back to what Lisa was asking us to pay attention to are the different elements that showed up. So judging by the background of the Chariot, I would say that that is also water related. So that would mean I have more water elements than anything in the spread, which is something that comes up a lot in my personal readings, is to learn to go with the flow of things. I've gotten a lot better with it, but the Taurus in me still likes to fight against that tide. Now coming back to the 9 of Cups to focus on how it relates to that third question. What do I need to do to make sure my foundation is flexible enough not to crack? I find it ironic that it is a water sign, because that's all about fluidity, flexibility, going with the flow. And if we relate it back to the sacral chakra, which is all about passion and creativity, I think a lot of it goes to embracing my creativity, working with my passions. Again, relating back to this YouTube channel, this has been something I've been wanting to work on for a long time, but the lack of self-confidence held me back. So I think it's interesting that it's all coming out in this reading. When we look at the 9 of Cups itself without the symbolism, 9 of Cups is having everything that you want and having everything you need, feeling fulfilled, feeling happy. Some of the keywords listed in here are success, abundance, prosperity, high self-esteem, confidence. So again, going back to the Chariot here with having confidence in yourself, and then relating it again to my significator card, which I'm going to bring out in a moment, that success and abundance and prosperity goes back to the money portion of my Knight of Pentacles. So it really all does tie in together. Even though I've been working with tarot for over 15 years, it never fails to amaze me. The cards tell you exactly what you need to hear, and even though you're just pulling random cards out of a deck, they can still relate to each other and tell you a story. So everything that I've listed and I've talked about, I will transcribe into my journal. I'll see if anything else sticks out to me while I'm writing about that. But again, these are just some things that you can look out for yourself if you're also doing this exercise. So next we're going to pull out our significator card and put it in line with our other 3. So now that we have all 4 of these cards in line, we can really get an idea of what's going on with our root chakra and what it needs to have that healthier, stronger foundation. Now, in order to help build that foundation, we're going to take these cards and we're going to construct an affirmation from them. Focus on your significator card and that list of keywords you made in your journal that go along with it. See how they compare with the keywords from the cards that we pulled in the exercise today. Now think about how your significator card can help you with those keywords to build a stronger foundation. Use that energy and that idea to help write your affirmation. So an example that Lisa gives us in the book is if you had the Queen of Pentacles as your significator, you pulled the 7 of Swords, 3 of Pentacles, and the Lover's card as the 3 answer cards. From these 4 cards, you can create an intention statement similar to, as I build my foundation, I tap into the grounding and stable energy of the Queen of Pentacles, and I learn to only take on what I need and let the rest go. I know I am stronger and more confident, when I am working with others, and more flexible when I can love myself for who I am. So if we're looking at the cards that I have here, an affirmation that I may write would be something like, as I build my foundation, I tap into the patience and the perseverance of the Knight of Pentacles, because that goes back to some of the keywords that I had written down for my Knight of Pentacles. As I move forward confidently while following my intuition to make decisions that are best for me, that will ultimately lead to my happiness. So basically, you're just taking some of the keywords that you really want to tap into with your significator card, and the overall meanings or something that you pulled from these 3 cards to build that affirmation statement. So again, that is something I am not only going to write in my journal, but I will be creating an entire visual journal entry around that affirmation. And you may not get it on the first try. It's helpful, just take some keywords from each of your cards and list them, and then pull from them to build that affirmation statement around them. Or if you need some help or ideas, feel free to tag me on Twitter or email me, and I would be happy to help you write that statement. Once you have that, you're going to want to not only write it in your journal, but also put it in a place that you see every day to remind you of that energy that you want, and it's going to help you build that strong foundation. And you can say it as often or as little as you feel you need to. So we're going to go ahead and set these cards aside because we are going to need them for our final exercise. We are going to select another significator card. We're going to be doing this often, so it's good to have the practice. This time we are going to choose a card that represents the energy you would like to hold in your foundation and the energy you want to build your overall health and well-being on. So like we did for the root significator card, lay your cards face up and take your time with them. Some cards that already have building energy in them would be the aces, which we're going to look at now. So when we look at the 4 aces, they all have one thing in common, and that is they each hold the same keyword of new beginnings. Now, obviously, that new beginning takes its own form depending on the suit that you picked it in. So it could be a financial opportunity, a new idea that you want to put into action, a new relationship with the Ace of Cups. With the Ace of Wands, it could be a trip that you want to take or a talent that you want to nourish. But with all 4 of these cards, it's giving yourself the opportunity to start fresh, which in some cases, some people may need to build their foundation. I think that's one of the reasons why Lisa suggests that you look to one of these 4 cards to choose for your foundation significator card. Now, the next group that Lisa tells you to look at for a possible significator card would be the pages. Pages tend to be younger, high-spirited people who are ready to just jump into action. A lot of times they represent a student, somebody who is learning something new. So if you feel like that's the type of energy that you need to call on to rebuild or build a stronger foundation, maybe look to these cards. So the next group that we're going to be looking at are the 4s. If you're familiar with numerology, you'll know that 4 is the number of stability, which is what we're trying to build into our foundation, to build that strength. So it makes a lot of sense to me that Lisa would point these out as cards to look to choose as your significator card. I myself, going with the theme of the Pentacles, may look a little bit closer at the 4 of Pentacles, so I'm going to set that one to the side as an option for me. Also, when I look at the 4 of Wands, that just seems like a very stable card as well. You have the 4 pillars here, the castle in the background. These castles are built on a strong foundation to stand the test of time. So that's something that I may want to embrace as well. So for me personally, I will be pulling these 2 cards to the side to look a little bit deeper into. The next card that Lisa suggests that you take a look at as a possible card to choose for your significator is the Star card. Now, if you just look at the overall card itself without digging too deep into it, to me automatically it screams balance. You have the large star in the middle, and if you just follow a straight line, it's very balanced on either side, very symmetrical. The figure in the card here, she's pouring out on both ends while she's maintaining a position of balance. And actually, if you look at it this way, it's almost the top of the number 4. So those are just some of my initial thoughts as to relating this card to stability. If you look at the key phrase that goes up the side of the card here, I think is beautiful and really goes to that foundation you may want to have for yourself. It says, "The universe shows me that I can have faith in my dreams." So this may be another card that I actually want to consider, considering a lot of my cards talked about having confidence in myself and following my dreams. Some of the key words that are associated with this card: hope, recognition, inspiration, creativity, calm, contentment, spirituality. We're diving into that with the series that we're working on. So I think this card has a lot of good associated with it, a lot of good feelings, and again, going back to that balance and stability. So this is definitely going on my to consider pile. The next card we're going to look at to consider would be the Temperance card. This has always been one of my favorite cards. I just get an immediate sense of calm whenever I look at it. Again, this card is about balance, and it's actually the first keyword that's there is balance. As you see, the angel represented in the picture has 1 foot in the water and 1 still on land. And he's pouring from 1 cup into the other. So he is giving to this cup, but he is giving back as much as he is receiving, because it's going in between the 2. This is actually a really good affirmation on here. I know my extremes. Now I seek peace. So if that's something that you're looking for while you're working in this series, this may be the card for you. I am laughing a little bit because I wasn't really looking at the keywords while I was talking, and I was just reading them over in my head. I almost feel like my significator card for my root chakra has just chosen this card for me. If you haven't seen my visual journal entry for that yet, I specifically talk about 1 keyword that is associated with the Knight of Pentacles, and that is time heals all wounds. And as I was looking at the keywords here, that's literally the last one that's listed. Time heals all wounds. That is something that really resonates with me and something that I am working on. So as much as I've said about the other cards, I know I don't have to look any further. That just solidified it for me. Again, it's the synergy of tarot. Sometimes those cards fall where they need to fall. So I'm going to move that to my other pile that I'm going to be using for our final exercise. Now, there's one other card that Lisa tells us to take into consideration when choosing our significator card. And this one is just a light suggestion. It really depends on how the card resonates with you, obviously. But this is another card that you can look at, and that's the Hierophant. Now, the affirmation on this card is, I choose which traditions to embrace and how I do it. This is a card all about tradition, conformity, traditional values, marriage, commitment, religion, beliefs, knowledge, and things along those lines. And it's also associated with the number 5, with being the 5th major arcana card. The number 5 in numerology is the number for change. But again, this is going to be your personal choice and what works for you. So those are just cards that you can take into consideration. Obviously, you have the rest of your deck. This is going to be your personal choice and what resonates with you. So take your time, go through your cards slowly, and pull out the one that you feel is what you want to build your foundation on. One other note, while you are going through your deck and you're figuring out which card works best for you, just like we did with cards before, make sure that they work just as well standing on their head as they do on their feet. So again, not only taking in the meaning of the upright version of that card, but also what it means in its reverse position. And when you have that card, like I said before, take time and journal with it. Once you have your card chosen for your significator card, go back in your journal and see which card you selected for your root chakra in your chakra assessment spread and pull that from your deck. Now you're going to take the card you chose for your foundation significator card and lay it next to the card that you pulled for your root chakra in your chakra assessment spread. You're going to make sure they're both in their reverse position and sitting next to each other, just like I have on my screen. So if you remember back to my chakra assessment spread, I pulled the Knight of Wands. So I have that here next to the Temperance card. Now you're just going to take a few minutes and look at both of the cards and see how they interact with each other. Consider this a creative writing exercise that you're going to do in your journal, where you're going to create a dialogue with them. Consider whether they complement each other or if they're total opposites. What do you see when you look at both of these cards? Jot that down in your journal as well. This exercise may seem silly, but it will give you an even deeper understanding of your body, life, and its current energetic state. So for me, when I'm looking at both of my cards, and what I'll ultimately journal about is, I can tell that even though it looks like both of these are associated with the element of fire, which they would obviously have in common, they to me seem very opposite. I get the impression that the Knight knows exactly where they're going and they're in a hurry to get there, whereas in the reverse position, the Temperance, one of the key words is lack of perspective. So in my mind, that just means that you kind of lost yourself and you don't really know where you're going yet. In my mind, the Knight of Wands would probably get annoyed at the ability for Temperance to be standing still, where the Knight of Wands is in a hurry to get to where they're going, where Temperance is not. Temperance wants to take their time and deliberately create whatever it is that he is creating in those two cups. Well, they take in nature and the sunshine that's behind them. And it's okay if your cards are complete opposites or similar. Again, these are going to be what is meant for you to know and to learn. For me, this just shows how much work I have to do on my root chakra to get that strong foundation. Because right now, I'm the Knight just rushing through life, just trying to get to wherever it is I'm supposed to be going, when I really need to be holding that energy of the Temperance. I need to start standing still and appreciating where I'm at. So that's what I get out of comparing these two cards. We're going to take the cards that we pulled today, along with the root chakra card from our chakra assessment, and lay them out to give an overall view of our foundation. So for the top row, we're going to have 3 cards we pulled to answer those questions about our foundation. The middle row is going to be your root chakra significator and foundation significator cards. So that will be my Knight of Pentacles and my Temperance. And then finally on the bottom row is your reversed root chakra card from your chakra pillar. So we're bringing back that Knight of Wands. This is the map of our foundation. Take time and sit with this spread. Gather as much information as possible from it. Make note of recurring themes, number patterns, and elements, just like we have been doing. With mine, I see a very diverse spread of elements, which is good. Let me know if you see any patterns in my cards or even your own in the comments below. I always like to know if I miss anything. Don't get discouraged if it's not looking like you want it to. Remember, this is just the beginning of our work. Things are meant to be ugly and messy. It is important to see the ugly so we know where the work needs to be done. Be honest with yourself and know that things don't have to stay this way. That is, if you're willing to do the work to fix them. These cards have a story to tell. Your story. So I'm going to take some time and sit with my cards and see the story that mine have to tell me. I'll make some notes in my journal, meditate with them, and see what I come up with. And I hope that you do the same and that you get some good information out of them. The work has just begun and we still have ways to go, but I know I'm excited to see what the final outcome is. If you are too, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to reach as many people as possible that need to heal their chakras, or at least learn different ways to improve their energy pillars and make their life just a little bit more fulfilled. Let me know how today's exercises went for you and what your thoughts are. I'd love to get a discussion about this book going. Most importantly, thank yourself for taking the time to go through this video for you and wanting to improve your foundation. This is not easy work and you should feel good about doing it. In the next video, we are going to be focusing on how the root chakra affects our sense of safety, so keep your eye out for that. I look forward to seeing what lessons we have to learn from that. Until then, take care and be well.